Well, it's about that time of year again. For those unaware or have just recently found this channel, first of all, welcome newcomers, and second, at, or in this case, around April 1st, I review an issue that you'd swear is a joke, but in fact existed. 2 years ago when I started this tradition, I reviewed the Sonic Sabrina crossover. Last year, I reviewed issue 71, aka the backwards issue, though I reviewed that one in the proper order for everyone's sanity. This year, my chosen issue is number 94, the one with Sonic the Hedgehog going to school. Not as a guest speaker, but as a student. Who thought this was a good idea? I mean, what? I'm going to forego the recap this time because you need to see this for yourself. I'll fill in the details as we go along. The issue begins 6 weeks after the end of the last one, which involved Prince Elias punishing Sonic by stripping him of his knighthood, oh yeah, I keep forgetting that was a thing, and confining him to Knothole. Since then, the prince has been hard at work constructing new infrastructures such as a new castle, a hospital, a prison, and finally, a school. That's all great and all, but here's the thing. This takes place before the 1-year time skip. Knothole is still supposed to be hidden. All you're doing, Prince, is painting a big old bullseye for Eggman to hit. Anyway, we see the freedom fighters, former freedom fighters, chilling in Sonic's room, with Sonic himself wondering why they need to learn stuff like algebra. That's actually a valid question, Sonic. You have no use for it, and I'm pretty sure Bunny doesn't need it either. And Rotor and Tails? They're geniuses that have invented numerous devices that would have required complex calculations. But apparently their IQs took a massive nosedive these past few issues. Sonic's concerned about Sally. He hasn't seen her in weeks. Likewise, Sally's been involved with all of this family business that she hasn't had time for Sonic and company. She must have gotten that picture at a convention Art Mom when he attended. She goes out to join her family and witness how prosperous the new Knothole city's becoming, which I have to point out again is also making it a tempting target for Eggman. But Eggman hasn't attacked yet because he's busy entertaining the Space Overlanders. His brother, Colin, is suspicious as to why Eggman isn't hanging out with the rest of the family. He even comments on how different he looks. Wow, it's almost like he's changed bodies or something. Eggman diverts Colin's questions by asking his own, specifically about the outer space thing. This leads to Colin explaining that after losing the Great War, Colin and his people went into space for a new beginning. But before we learn more, an alarm goes off. And here's the trigger. The next morning at Knothole, an earthquake wakes Sonic and Tails. They head out to deal with the aftermath, which involves damage control and saving lives. You know, the stuff they should be doing. Back in Robotropolis, Eggman forces Snively into servitude or else he'll get roboticized. Though Snively's choice to join is made easier with the promise of revenge. Oh boy, here we go. No, just no. Who came up with this idea? Oh, thank goodness, a distraction. I think this is why her name's Hope. She doesn't trust Eggman, making her the only smart person around. Her sneaking around leads to a frightful encounter with a Robian. Back to the school plot. Tails is trying to find his book bag when a Thayer appears. He needs Tails for something, so he teleports him away. At least Tails got away from this madness, for now. I don't believe this. Sonic, Bunny, and Mina Mongoose are in physics class being taught by Nate Morgan. I mean, nothing against Nate Morgan, but physics? Really? Does Sonic really need to know this stuff? Get it? It's funny because he's the fastest thing alive, and class time is moving slowly. After class, Sonic and Bunny ask Nate about Sally's whereabouts. The story ends on this dramatic cliffhanger. Sally is being homeschooled. I do not get this story. The issue's not done yet. We've got another chapter of the ongoing Green Knuckles arc. It begins with Knack informing his sister Nick that he delivered Knuckles to his employers, and got bonuses in addition to the reward. Also to not to worry about the bee couple he threatened earlier. Said couple, Charmy and Saffron, are in the clear and are on their way to help Knuckles. Good thing too, because the Weasel's employers, the Albion Echidnas, are about to begin the process of draining energy from Knuckles due to him being a potential threat. This method involves an Echidna wearing a Chaos Siphon suit to absorb the energy. Yeah, I'm sure nothing can go wrong. Oh wait, the bees arrive to sabotage the computer and the Siphon suit. This not only reverses the effect, it ends up with Knuckles becoming even more powerful. And he fades away, I guess? By the way, I'm sure the Echidna in the suit is fine. Nothing bad'll happen to him. The Echidnas call Nick and Knack for another job, but after seeing the explosion, they're smart enough to say, screw this, we're out of here. And that's where this chapter ends. This chapter of the Green Knuckles saga really showcases Echidna hypocrisy and arrogance. Again, they are willing to use a new version of a dangerous device to depower Knuckles for everyone's own good. Granted, there are some valid concerns like Knuckles' ability to control the power, but Knuckles doesn't have that megalomaniac mindset other evil Chaos wielders had in the past, at least at this point. The Echidnas believe technology will save them. As we saw, they lost control thanks to outside interference. Heck, they almost lost control when the machines couldn't handle the power drain. I'm giving this story a 3, though it looks like we're finally moving on from those Albion Echidnas and possibly doing something with Knuckles. Plus, the art's done by Ron Lim, and that's all I'll say about that. The main story. The main story. Who came up with this idea? Writer Carl Bollers? The editor Justin Gabri? Some third party that wishes to remain anonymous? Look, I get what they were going for. A shakeup in the status quo. I'm all for the idea of shaking things up. It's to help keep the comic fresh. But some ideas just shouldn't be. I would be a little more lenient towards the school thing if it took place either in an alternate universe or between the time period between Robotnik's death and Eggman's arrival. But it doesn't. Eggman is capable of launching attacks at any point, and the powers that be decide to have the ones who have had the most experience in dealing with this guy sitting in class learning stuff they are not going to use, or in some cases have already used. You know why I am much more forgiving when it comes to Dreamwave Mega Man going to school? It's because it took place in its own continuity, with its own rules and whatnot established at the beginning. I cannot imagine Game, Archie, or even Ruby Spears' Mega Man attending class.
Roll signed up to be a student, Mega. Why don't you join us too?
I'd like to, Quarterbot, but I got a full-time job taking on Wily and his bots.
No comment on Man of Action. This, right here, takes place in the same continuity as this, and more recently, this. That is the reason the school thing insults me as a fan. I came here for Sonic the Hedgehog, not Saved by the Bell. Now if you like this stuff, good for you. I really mean it. But this is how I feel about it. Still, there are some positive things sprinkled throughout this story, such as that earthquake situation. I guess it's a way to fulfill the action quota of the issue. You know what I think? I think it's a leftover from another script cause it's never referenced again afterwards. Perhaps that earthquake could have been the result of the Chaos Knuckles explosion from the backup story, which took place on another part of the planet. I'm just guessing why the earthquake happened at all. The Robotropolis scenes were also a welcome distraction, despite featuring characters I do not care about, except for Eggman and Hope, and being a bit dull. James Fry's art is amateurish, but I'll gladly take this over Ron Lim. The main story also gets a 3. It's amazing the main Sonic comic survived past this dork age. Something I glossed over is that there is the ongoing Sonic, Sally, Mina love triangle. It's a minor note here, but it's still present. I can take solace in the fact that after a couple of issues, we will no longer see Sonic in school. We'll see other Sega characters in the classroom, but that's for another time. Let's just end it here. Speedy the Porcupine, here to stop the evil Dr. Autotron with his sidekick, Meter Brush Per Minute.